Alright students, welcome to How to Be an Extrovert. Before we get started, is there any questions? You all fail! You all fail! You all fail! All of you! All of you fail! All! Conversations. Something that, quite frankly, is a huge hit or miss for me. From smooth transitioning talks to terribly uncomfortable chats, conversations are all a part of how we as a species communicate towards one another in order to understand, cooperate, and function together as a society. But just because it's a normal part of life doesn't mean it's not hella awkward! Growing up with a bit of social anxiety, I can honestly say conversations amongst people I interacted with used to make me so nervous. Specifically back in junior high and high school, this used to happen to me a lot, as I would wake up Monday to Friday like we all do, force myself out of bed, and make my way to the dreaded school grounds, preparing myself for the uncomfortableness that would be that entire school session. I remember kids in the hall would just yell out and shout to each other like the bros they all were, while I would just hope nobody would interact with me before I made it to my locker and classroom. But what can I say? That's what anxiety does to you. However, not all conversations were bad, obviously. Talking to people within my friend group during school didn't usually end up becoming an awkward conversation, as I can be true and say I hung with the misfits of the grade. There was another group of people I hung out with in the art class, but I'm not even gonna get into that situation. But to make my point here, conversations in school were awkward, very awkward for me anyways. However, that did not stop after high school. Oh no. Things only got much worse from that moment forward. As I approached my years of maturity into adulthood, the conversations I would get into from then on only spiraled into stranger, more awkward chats, as it could stem anywhere from bank debt to having babies. I can't even look after myself, let alone a baby. Sure, heck, I probably wouldn't even be able to look after a dog. If I'm being honest, the dog would probably end up looking after me, paying my mortgage, driving me around places, feeding me meals, and reading me bedtime stories before going to bed. But hey, I'm just saying, man's best friend after all, right? What was the worst conversation I've ever had, you might ask? Well, hot diggity, do I got a tale for you. It was a late Monday night, I think. Don't hold me to that. And I hit the gym for what would be one of my very first times. After working out, doing my lifts, and feeling those small, pitiful gains, I had gone into the dreaded sauna. I think you can already tell where this is going. So I go in there, and there are these two dudes with towels on, just chatting, and one of them has a thick Irish accent. Now, I'm from Newfoundland, and we have Irish-like accents anyways, but you could clearly tell this dude was straight from Ireland. Anyway, as I was just sitting there awkwardly just not listening... Okay, I was listening. How do you not listen to a conversation happening right next to you? The Irish dude was talking about how he used to live in Ireland, but moved to Newfoundland for some reasons. He was explaining to the other dude in the sauna with us about an apparent feud between two different parts of Ireland that apparently aren't too friendly with each other. Apparently it's called the Troubles if you Google it, but I'll leave that up to you to research. As he was chatting, he kind of got me involved in the conversation too, as this guy clearly felt like he had to tell us this story of his that would soon become one of, if not the most uncomfortable conversation I think I've ever had. As he was explaining the whole feud between the two places in Ireland, he had explained that people would literally kill one another during these times of conflict because they had different views towards one another. And as he kept talking, he then explains how he witnessed someone literally toss a freaking Molotov at a dude and just watched him essentially die. Like, I, of course, completely stunned by this conversation, had me at a loss of words, as I didn't know what to say. This guy, however, continues to go on with his story, as the other dude in the conversation had asked him if he had ever hurt anyone over in Ireland during this time. And as this question had been asked, the Irish dude takes his towel off, becomes naked on the bench, as if he's proud over what he's about to say next, and says, "I've been involved with some things, but that's in the past now." After saying that, he laughs really hard with myself and the other guy, laughing very awkwardly with him. And I remember the other dude and I literally looked at each other with a look so intense, so physical, as if human telepathy for the first time in history had been achieved in that sauna room, and with a very clear message had said, We need to get out of here now! What happened next will shock you. Click this video to find out. I'm just kidding. This isn't BuzzFeed. But anyways, pretty awkward, am I right? But enough about me talking to steamy, sweaty men. Let's bring our attention over to the ladies. What's up, Jessica? Creep! Aww! So when it comes to talking with girls growing up, I always felt very awkward. Any girl that I had an attraction to, I would immediately become an idiot and overthink the situation, like I was being tested in every way, but in reality, I was just not very confident with talking to girls. Granted, I think a lot of us guys have that problem, but fellas, can you blame me? But yeah, talking to girls got pretty weird for me at times, but I mean, that's a problem a lot of us guys face. But my dudes, you just gotta be confident in yourself. The ladies love confidence, guys. Now, I want you to go in the mirror and say that you're confident right now.
You're confident. You're confident. You're confident, man. You're sexy, man. You're confident. You're confident, yeah. You like that? Yeah. Get it, Tiger. Come on. Looking good. You could work a little around your beard. Yeah. You looking good, man. You looking sexy. That TheFearRaiser was right. Showtime.
12 seconds later.
Why was I born a mistake? Look at me. Hideous. Disgusting. You lied to me, TheFearRaiser. You lied.
Oh, you thought I was done, did you? Well, before I finish this video off, I wanted to tell you about the funny thing I used to do, or still sort of do, in my apartment building that I live in now. So my building is mostly full of Chinese people, and no, I'm not just making that up. The building I'm in, I'm pretty sure is owned by a Chinese foreign investor, and there is a lot of proof behind that, but obviously I'm not gonna get into the details of that. Anyways, for a little while, I used to get very lonely, and actually sometimes crave some sort of attention, some sort of conversation with anyone. So when I would get in the elevator, I would casually ask them how they're doing. Any random stranger. Now, something I've learned from living in Toronto, which is probably the most ethnically diverse city in the world, is that a lot of Chinese people have told me that people from China are very to themselves, and essentially speaking to strangers is something they don't normally do. A random person talking to them is perceived as weird, as it's something Chinese people do not do, but even so, I would casually say, "Hey, how are you?" And the reactions I would get were actually pretty funny. I had this one Chinese guy I remember who was in the elevator with me after I had just finished up at the gym in our building. And as I walked in the elevator, I had looked to him and said, "Hey, how are you?" I remember this so well because at first this guy looked so confused, like he had never been in this situation before. And as he turns his head to me with such an appalled look on his face, he sizes me up, looks up and down like he's checking me out, turns away from me, and just says, "Okay," and doesn't say another word. This was one of the few times I actually regretted speaking to another person in the elevator because of how awkward I was, but that's what I get, I guess. I've had other reactions of people laughing awkwardly and speaking Chinese to me, which put me in an awkward place, no response at all, or the casual high five if they're having a good night, and they're up for it. But I digress. Either way, conversations can be all sorts of things. Funny, weird, sad, strange, intriguing, awkward, and downright meaningless. But social interaction is important, even for the casual introvert. So remember, if you're someone who is a bit shy and doesn't interact with the outside world often, try to force yourself to do it every now and again, because it's not healthy to box yourself away from the world. And besides, there's a lot of cool stuff out there. So go outside and do something! And, yeah, thanks for watching. Wait a minute, you thought this video was done? Wrong-o! If you enjoyed that video and you want to see more kinds of these style videos, you know you gotta leave a like and subscribe. But the real question is, How loyal of a TheFearRaiser fan are you? Want to show your support? Follow me on my social media and buy a t-shirt, fam! Check the link down in the description below, which will take you to my website, and buy a shirt and or hoodie. All fans who tweet pics of them wearing a shirt and or hoodie will end up on the end of my animations. So what are you waiting for? Go buy a shirt while supplies last. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Alright guys, take care and have a great day.